Y'all, look at me. Don't mind my little gown. I wear gowns in the house. You see, comes all the way down to my ankles. I feel like a 70s lady or something. But y'all, I just had a breakthrough, right? So, as we all know, I haven't been in the process of healing my body as well. That's why I always, when I'm sharing knowledge and stuff like that, I'm sharing knowledge to you from my experiences through what I went through, which is mostly how anybody can share knowledge through experience or, through textbooks or whatever. But I realized that now that because I fasted. And when I fasted, I was like determined to no longer be a slave to food. Go upstairs and do happy numbers. Hurry up. I was determined to no longer be a slave to food anymore, right? Because anything that you can't take a break from, you a slave to. Literally, anything that you can't fast from, you're a slave to. If you can't stop watching TV, you're a slave to the television. If you can't put your phone down for a second, then you a slave to these electronics. If you can't stop eating, you a slave to food. Why? Because 9 times out of 10 we eat and we want to constantly eat, and we want to constantly eat cooked food at that. And mine is, let alone the fact that when you cook food, you're really not getting many vital nutrients and minerals, because once you cook it over 180 degrees, you pretty much deteriorate most of those. They get cooked out of it. So even if you think you're eating great by eating 3 cooked meals a day of vegetables, you're really not getting all the vital nutrients that you could be getting from it should you had ate that raw. So I fasted, and I was determined to no longer be a slave to food anymore, because even I was a slave to food, as I was showing y'all all these vegan recipes that I was cooking and stuff like that. I was still being a slave to food. You understand? Like, I still was feeling like I needed to eat multiple times a day, and it was no good for me. And with my last menstrual cycle, I noticed that my hormones were extremely thrown off. I was dealing with hormonal imbalance, but for me it was to the extreme. Like, it made no sense for my hormones to be thrown off the way they were. And now, after I completed my fast, when I came off of that fast, I decided, for one thing, I'm going to fast regularly, at least 1 to 2 days out of the week. A few days out of the week, I'm not going to eat anything cooked, because what do I need to eat so much cooked food for when it has barely any vital nutrients? I'm just eating it just because it tastes good. What is the point of that? What is that doing for my body? You understand? So now I've been eating mostly raw. I fast, I do my smoothies, my juice. I don't eat before 12 o'clock, and realistically for me, I really don't eat before 3. And we eat dinner around 4 to 6 now, so we're eating dinner when it's light out. My son be like, is it lunchtime or is it dinner time? It's mad funny. But and all of that. And I've realized that since I stopped eating just to eating because I'm bored. I also was a person who was guilty of eating because I'm bored. I'm home all day long. I'm working from home. Right now I'm doing jewelry, and I just stopped taking a break from doing this jewelry. I'm also have stuff on the stove that I'm working on and stuff like that too. So I'm always home. I'm always doing a lot. We don't leave this house a lot. We all work from home, and my son is homeschooled, so we don't really leave the house. So eating when we're bored is literally a thing that happens, especially when you're home a lot, right? So I stopped doing that. I stopped doing all this, and I realized that my body can receive messages easier now. So there's no more hormonal imbalance for me right now, because the body is receiving the message easily. I have healed myself from multiple diseases of the body. Candida disease. I had this disease of the body where I would faint pretty much randomly, and that started when I was in middle school all the way up until about all the way up until I started being vegan and started eating more fruits and paying attention to what I was eating, which is almost going on 2 years ago now. So from now all the way till 2019, I used to have these things where I would faint, where I could no longer even stand up. It was to the point where I get to it and I'd be laying down on the bathroom floor inside of McDonald's. That was the first time it ever happened. You know how dirty McDonald's bathrooms are. It's to the point where I couldn't move. I couldn't even hold my head up. That's why I tell people it takes so much strength to even hold your head up, and you don't realize that until there's a day when you can't. And I used to have those things sporadically. There's a medical term for it, but I used to be fainting continuously, randomly throughout points in time, and that pretty much stopped as I changed my eating habits and stopped smoking. Smoking is so detrimental for the body. It's so detrimental for the woman's body, and everybody thinks that it's just the lungs that smoking is detrimental for, and that is not true. Actually, especially for women, smoking deteriorates your reproductive system as well. So you could be 20 years old, and I've been smoking since I was 13, smoking weed, yes. You could be like, you know, you could be 20 years old but your uterus and your fallopian tubes are that of a 40-year-old or something. Why? Because you're smoking and you're dehydrating your system. Same thing with alcohol, same thing with all the drugs. Pretty much they do that same thing, but especially the smoking. So it's not just the lungs, and that's just what's extremely important for women to know, especially women who want to conceive. And I know that there's a lot of women who do conceive and smoke. I know a lot of women who smoke and they're pregnant. I'm not judging you, you know what I'm saying, but I do believe that that is dangerous, you know, for itself and for the body. I don't even smoke, and I would, you know, I wouldn't do it. But anyway, so it's just so much stuff. And as I've been healing myself from all this stuff, because this is the reason why I do what I do. Like, I love to teach y'all and I love to share my experiences with y'all, but in all actuality, the reason why I'm into holistic health and stuff is because I was sick. Is because I could no longer function the way I was functioning, having to pass out, you know what I'm saying, like randomly fainting. Imagine if that had happened at a time where I had my son. We used to live in New York. We was on the bus and on the train everywhere. Imagine that. Like, imagine just how dangerous that situation could be and just how distraught it could have been. And I had candida disease of the body. Came to the point where my candida disease was so severe that I would be getting yeast infections at least once a month. Every time, you know, that your, what's it called? Your immune system lets its guard down whenever you are about to ovulate, and also whenever you're about to start your menstrual cycle. Your immune system lets its guard down because it has another thing that it has to do, right? And around that time, whenever my immune system would let its guard down, I would get a yeast infection. So yeah, like, it was that. It's so much. It is a lot. But what I've recently realized is, as I've let go of the you know, let go of being a slave to food, that messages are flowing through my body way easier, from my brain to my sacred spaces, to my yoni, you know what I'm saying, and all that. Like, the messages are flowing easier because the body is not so heavy. Even last night, I had it on my story, it's probably still there. I had salad and I had mad cucumbers and guacamole, and it was a lot. Like, I was full, but I wasn't as full as I would have been if that was a cooked meal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a full, but it was a light type of food. Like, I didn't feel heavy. I didn't feel like I had to go to sleep after that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a difference in the way you carry yourself. And yesterday, I didn't eat anything cooked. Today, I'm going to eat something cooked. Right now, I have potato wedges in the oven that we're going to have for a nice little lunch snack. And I don't know, I'll probably eat some green beans or something for dinner. I don't know yet. But yeah, so just realizing that even through slowing down the way I eat, no longer eating off of impulse, and, you know, because even if you're eating healthy foods, if you're eating off an impulse and you're just overeating and you're eating because you're bored and you always gotta cook up this meal and you want to make this fancy ass vegan meal and all that vegan cheese and all that stuff, my body can no longer even handle that stuff. So my body kind of be forcing me to do shit, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, but that's just a part of my purpose, you know what I'm saying? It's also the fact of the matter that I no longer want to be sick. I'm on the strictest diet in this house than anybody in this house, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm literally healing from many diseases of my body, whereas, you know, my son is on a strict diet, but, you know, that's just so that he can be healthy and not have to deal with what I dealt with. So yeah, that's the most recent thing that I realized, like, less hormonal imbalances, more balance within the body, as the body is just able to communicate better when I'm not stuffing it with food and snacks. Even though I was mostly snacking on fruits and stuff like that, I was still overeating, and I wasn't taking enough time in between my meals either, because you have to think about it. We're talking about food combining. You have to make sure that you're giving that food time to digest before you eat the next thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot, but it's easy. And I feel like for us, we complicate things. We want these fancy dinners and we gotta have all this stuff on our plate and all this extra stuff, and it's just so simple. Like, I don't know, I'm already about to eat some red potatoes, so for dinner I'm just gonna maybe steam some vegetables and that'll be it. I meal prep for my son because that makes my life 10 times easier. You know, today I'm gonna meal prep him some veggie lo mein, which consists of just chickpea noodles and vegetables literally, and a homemade sauce, and that's it. And I'm gonna throw it in some Tupperwares and put it in the fridge, and you know, that's it. It's so simple, but yeah, that's what I've realized. But yeah, I'm still in the process of healing, little dude. You know, I don't really express to y'all a lot of the things that I'm healing with myself often, but I've came such a long way in my healing journey, and I'm still healing because I'm still dealing with deficiencies of the body for myself. And I'm getting deeper. Even now, like, I'm not a super strong faster. It's a little bit hard for me to fast if I'm home. Like, if I'm out and about, it's easy because I'm busy and my mind is distracted. But if I'm home, like I said, when we home, we just think we want to eat. We hungry. We see all these delectable fruits on the table and all them good looking veggies in the fridge, and I be wanting to eat. So it's harder for me to fast, and that's why I'm starting by implementing fasting at least once or twice a week. That way I can get used to it. That way I can begin to do more extended periods of fast, because I know I'm capable of fasting for an extended period of time. It's just that my mind be getting in the way, you know. So yeah, it just be a lot. That's all I wanted to share though. So that's it. Let me finish.